Welcome back to the Crypto Rainn channel. I'm your host, Jay Murph. Today I have a special guest. As you know, I'm very passionate about the crypto space, and I'm passionate about a few places within the crypto space. In DeFi, because crypto is changing the way finance works. It's also completely changing the way gaming works, and I have one of the top up-and-coming games in the whole crypto sphere that everyone's talking about, joining all of us today to speak about his project, and that project is Illuvium. You probably heard of it. Everybody's talking about it, and we have Kieran Warwick here to join us. Kieran, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, JMO.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, very excited to share the story of Illuvium and what we're building over here.
Yeah, now, I'm sure a lot of my audience, but some may be joining us that are new to my audience, have heard of Illuvium. I've talked about him a couple times on the show. Told them I wanted to have you on personally because honestly, you're the best person to talk about the project to them and give them a full overview. So, would you share with the audience a little bit about Illuvium and what you wanted to do with this game?
Sure. So essentially, what Illuvium is, it's an open world RPG. It's very similar to Pokemon, and except instead of just your standard turn-based Pokemon style battles, we wanted to integrate a different genre of gaming, which is called auto battlers. And you might have heard of Dota Underlords or League of Legends Teamfight Tactics. They're both extremely popular games with like 50 million players worldwide, and so obviously most people have heard about Pokemon and how to play that game, what it's about. Similar in our game, you've basically got 150 alluvials, which are our characters, and you travel around the open world with a hunter. You essentially there's a lot of story elements to what we're building as well, and lore elements to the actual overworld. And so you face their nation, and you essentially crash land on this alien planet, and you are a hunter, and you're trying to go around and capture these creatures that we call alluvials. And yeah, there's a couple of paths that you can take in the game. You can just become a collector, and that might be what really entertains you. And then you can take that collection and you can start swapping or selling and buying different characters on the exchange to build up that collection. Or you can take the strategic route, which I think is going to be hugely popular. And the alluvials that you collect in the overworld can actually be taken into one of two arenas that we have, and that's where you can battle against other players. In one of the arenas, it's a ranked battle, so you'll only be going up against people with a similar level to yourself. And then we've got a second arena, which is basically like a no holds bar PvP situation where you can actually play someone for ETH, and the winner of that battle, earns the ETH with it. So that's pretty much what we're building from a game standpoint. A couple of key differences you'll see with us is we're fully decentralized, and so what that means is we're governed by a council that's appointed by the token holders, and so you get this really great dynamic in the community where they're actually shaping the protocol and putting forward improvements and different things that ideally change the direction of the protocol in a positive way. We've got just over 100 people in our team now, and the team's made up of very, very high level artists, engineers, and game designers, and everything else that comes with it across marketing and community building. And so yeah, we're trying to build what we call the first AAA game on blockchain.
That sounds amazing. So, um, essentially, this allows people to do a few different things. Now, there's something with the creatures that you can catch and that you can use, and they're called illuvials, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I've heard it suggested that it has some play to earn mechanisms, which is, as you know, quite the rage. Axie Infinity was the first to really go this way, and Axie Infinity's done amazing. I guess people all over the Philippines, all over the world, are playing this game to earn because, especially with what happened recently and their economies being down, they're doing this. So that's great, but I've tried to play Axie Infinity, though I love the game and it made me a lot of money as an investor. I cannot play the game. I wanted to scratch my eyes out after 3 hours. It's not my type of game. So I've been looking for something that's more playable, right? Said I'm not like, oh my gosh, I want the small love potions because this breeding thing, and I guess I could just buy them, but oh my gosh, I want to kill myself. After about three
Yeah.
hours, I literally, that was the conversation going through my head, and I had to just buy the SLP so I could play around with the breeding mechanism just to understand it. So I'm like, okay, now I know there's got to be games that are more to my type of style. Now, I love Dota. That's one of the games that I like. So I love that type of play. And I'm just trying to understand better how the interactions are going to work or how the type of play is, as well as like the mechanics with like capturing alluvials. So you go out into the wilderness, right, and you can capture alluvials, and then it takes, you have to have like a shard or something in order to
Mm-hmm.
complete the capture. So in my mind, I think of like, oh, Pokemon. What I understand, they throw the ball, and it captures whatever the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So be some kind of
Yeah.
mechanism like somewhat around those lines.
Yeah, very, very similar. So we in Pokemon, I guess the key difference there is that you can always go to the Pokemart and you can go and pick up your Pokeballs, right? And you do that by paying money, right? And so in our case, it's very similar, except instead of being able to just go to a shop and do it, you've actually got to mine the resources for the shards, and then you've got to cure them. And so curing them is where the play to earn aspects come in to capture a tier one alluvial, which is sort of like it's not our bottom because we have a free to play element of the game where we're a little bit different in that we want people to be able to experience the entire, whether it's the overworld, the battling and whatever, the whole experience completely free before they go, okay, now I'm going to drop, some real money into this thing. But essentially, you mine these shards from the core of the planet, and then you have yourself a cured shard, which is ready to go out into the world and once you battle these alluvials, if you win the auto battle, they'll basically faint, and that gives you a chance at capturing them. If you come across, say, like a tier five, a Ramfire, which is super rare and very, very powerful, and you've only got yourself a tier one shard, it's highly, highly unlikely that you're actually going to be able to capture that Ramfire. And so the idea is we don't sell any NFTs prior to launch. It's a completely fair launch, and everyone is on everyone's in the same position when they start, and you basically need to work your way through the world, capture tier ones, and then your tier ones you can level them up. Each tier has a different level that you can go up to, and that's always 50. And so you get your tier ones, and you have a set of 5 of them. You keep battling them in the open world to increase their level. Then you can start traveling to regions where you're going to find tier 2s and tier 3s and tier 4s, and so on until ideally you get to the stage where you've collected all of the alluvials, and then by all of the alluvials. So in Axie, you basically can continue to breed the axes over and over and over again, whereas with ours, they're tied to a bonding curve. And so once that's one way that we're going to, keep the economy sustainable, is you need to keep the players entertained and not simply just, recreating the same thing over and over again until there's no floor price. With us, we're literally looking to introduce a new set of alluvials every 6 months to ensure that they keep their rarity.
Yeah, so the bonding curve, like say there's some kind of dragon alluvial or something that's a tier 5. There will only ever be so many of those dragons released, right? So at first they'll be kind of catchable because you can go out, chance to catch one, but the more some of those are caught, they essentially become more scarce and more scarce to the point that there's no more of those ever, right?
Correct.
Which is a big factor of supply and demand, right? So you introduce additional scarcity there, and when I heard that, I was like, that is awesome. I love it. So, with my audience, we're looking at things to do during the bear market because the bear market gets boring. What I hope is most of my audience is still around because that's the best time to be investing, but you need some entertaining and interesting things to do. And I was like, wow, I hope Illuvium's one of the games worth playing during the downturn just to have something in spare time that keeps boring because, I stuck around during the last bear market and I bought, but it is still boring and it was hard to stick around during the very best time to be buying. And so, actually, that's part of the reason I got interested in Axie was I was like, oh, here's this game. Maybe it will end up being fun. And for me, a lot of people like it. It's not my gameplay. I'm looking for something else. Dota is exactly my gameplay, and I really enjoy Dota 2 and a few other types of games. But, really excited with your game and would love it if the audience and everything, we have something to play together or even to talk about during the bear market and to play because I could see like these alluvials that some of them, because of the scarcity you introduced, down the road might be worth a fortune that people could just go out and catch and then keep, right? Until they are scarce.
Yep, absolutely. And so, you know that we're not there printing more and more and more copies of these things. You understand the rarity is there, it's built in. That when you capture an alluvial, it's going to get just that little bit harder for the next person to come and capture that same line of alluvial. And so yeah, but I think at the core, I love that you want to bring together your audience to have some entertainment in the bear market times and the downturns, because we all know that they exist. It can turn on a dime in terms of the market conditions in crypto, and that's why fundamentally we're building this game to be entertaining, to be fun, to be immersive and addictive, and that's what a good video game is. And if we build that at the core, and obviously we're set to give out something like, I don't know, it's like 700 million in in-game yield at the moment, and that is the just a over and above benefit to playing our game. It's not the reason that you play our game, and I think that's the difference between a lot of the games that are available now. They weren't necessarily built for that. They were for that entertainment value, and that's why you see a lot of like generic 2D art. It can be copied very easily, and because they were building to be almost experiments of gaming experiments on blockchain, and it's just so happened that this space is now caught on, and that means that the tokens that these games are distributing are so compelling that you see these developing nations jump in, but we're not quite seeing it catch on in like North America and stuff like that, where from a investment standpoint, absolutely, you can capitalize on that and look at it. But are the gamers really looking at the games that are available right now? Like as you're saying, you're talking about clawing your eyes out and stuff. Like I had a similar experience, and that's the exact reason that we started building Illuvium is to really bridge that gap between mainstream and the crypto gamers. And the only way to do that is to create a fun game. That's pretty much it.
So what's the timeline looking like? You have released a token, and you released that months ago, but I don't know the exact date.
Yeah, that was released back in like March, and I
Okay.
think the BLP was like April. So it's been out there for a while. We've got staking that's available now. The APY has been steady on staking for like, I think we've been live for like 8 weeks now, maybe even 10, and we're talking like 700% APY in our ILV/ETH pool. So. Yeah, and we're looking to have this game launched or the open beta by the end of this year. That may push out to early next year, depending on a couple of things. We put a very, very aggressive date on being able to release something like this. A lot of we literally only started building back 12 months ago, whereas a lot of the games that you see now that are released, even the ones that I've talking about with the 2D art and stuff like that, they're building those games over a 2-3 year cycle, and so yeah, we're really really excited. We're on target, and everything's looking pretty good.
Yeah, so in the open beta, if we play the game and earn things, are we able to roll that forward for the full release, or is it going to be a reset when the full release comes out?
No, so the open beta, so there'll be an alpha, which an alpha and a closed beta,
Okay.
and those will be reset when we go with the open beta.
Okay. So then
But
the
once
open beta, anything that my audience and I play and we earn, we get to keep.
100%.
Oh, love it, love it. Looking forward to that. Let me see.
And
Now you also go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, just the last point on that. The way that it's set up in the decentralized way that we've done it, 100% of the in-game revenues also go back to the people who are staked in the protocol. So all of those functions that I just spoke about in terms of travel fees, enhancements, skins, shard curing costs, all of it goes into a vault, and then we purchase with using all of that ETH, the in-game currency that people have used. We will then buy ILV off the market, which will pump the price of ILV, and then we distribute that back to everyone. And it's not like the devs keep this massive like 30% or 50% chunk, and we distribute the rest. It's literally 100% goes back to the people that are staked in the protocol.
Okay. But how do the devs continue to fund development if that's the case?
So the Treasury is holding, I think, 12% of the tokens, and so obviously that then isn't, that doesn't necessarily go straight back to the devs. Like that obviously goes to marketing functions, building new stuff, and all that kind of stuff. But essentially all of our team members have got tokens, and so when they stake, they will get their portion of revenues, and that on top of a wage is because we did a big we raised about 50 million in our public sale, so we've got runway to pay our team for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, perfect. Free, I have this thing I often say, free is often the worst price, because I like aligned incentives. Or, okay, I just want to make sure didn't run out of money, and then you had this amazing game and the devs were like, we would love to continue working on it, we can't work on it for free. And I imagine you had a way to do that.
We're nice guys, but we're definitely not that nice.
I know, right? Yeah, that works really good for about a couple weeks, and then it falls off. So now you also have land and a land sale component coming up. I don't know if you have a date, but would you tell the audience kind of about the land aspect of this?
Sure. So We're basically it's going through government approval right now. Someone's one of our co-founders actually has written up the IIP, which is essentially an Illuvium improvement proposal, and that encompasses the mechanics of our land sale. And so we're basically creating a mini game, which is a city builder game. And so we're selling 100,000 plots of land, and essentially what you do with this land is you're able to start building out your city, and the role there is to essentially go and produce as many resources as possible. You do that by mining, and then you go and use you take those materials, you essentially put them through your factories, and then you sell those resources that you've mined from your land plot to the main game, and that has an effect on the pricing of all of the in-game currencies, because the way that the law is set out is things like shards, for example, they take a certain amount of resources to be able to cure them in order for you to be able to capture an alluvial. And so we're basically saying that, and again, the configurables of the numbers haven't been set yet, but I think it's going to be somewhere in the tune of around 10% of the price of shard curing will come from these resources that the landowners will sell to the game. What that essentially means is if there's a situation where the landowners decide to all group together and hold off on selling the resources to the main game, you'll see the price of shards inflate, and it'll cost more to be able to cure them. If the flip side happens, which I'm fairly certain is going to happen early on, where people who have been mining all of these resources and pooling them for a while, because the land game is going to come out a little bit before the main game, there's going to be a mad rush to sell those resources, which will actually bring the price of shard curing and travel fees down. And yeah, you get this really fun dynamic where it's not just, hey, I bought a land plot and I sold it and I made money. It's literally a utility for you to not just have the potential to own a very rare land plot that will innately go up in value purely based on its scarcity. You also have this, depending on the tier of the land plot that you buy, this ability for an ongoing revenue stream in the back end just by holding and mining from your land.
That's really cool. I like the setup. Good economic structure behind it. Let's see if I had any other questions. What's going to be the in-game currency?
So it's ETH and SILV.
Okay.
And so ETH is obviously pretty self-explanatory. SILV, on the other hand, is something that you get from staking as well. So a lot of this is intertwined with our staking protocol. Okay. And so when you stake either ILV or into our ILV/ETH pool, you start earning rewards. And those rewards can be paid out in ILV or SILV. Now, SILV is just a synthetic Illuvium token, and so it's valued at the same price. And what actually happens in the back end is if you choose to claim it as SILV, that's immediately usable in-game. And so we're really trying to incentivize people to take your rewards as SILV. You're not subject, because if you take it in ILV, you're subject to a 12-month lockup for those rewards. Okay. And so it's a way for people to start utilizing and using the in-game currency straight away. But also, it means that when someone claims one SILV token, it means that we won't mint an ILV token. And so effectively, it's like a burn mechanism whereby we're giving out 3 million in-game rewards out of our, so 30% of our supply is not in-game rewards, is staking rewards. If, and obviously this isn't the case, but if, for example, every single person was like, I want to use my in-game currency and I don't care about getting ILV, then effectively it would mean our token circulating supply would be 30% less, which obviously, you know how that works. That's going to increase the price of the token considerably.
Yeah, it's incredible what you've set up. Now, I guess your family's heavily involved in crypto. You're not new to this, as well as your family's not new to this. And some of my audience already knows this, but you have a brother in the crypto space, right?
Yeah, he's the founder of Synthetics.
Yeah, one of the most successful DeFi projects out there. I remember Synthetics when it was extremely cheap. And it was on this new exchange that was kind of weird. I had used it once to actually exchange small love potions. I didn't really understand how to use it, but I thought, I'll wait till Synthetics is on a bigger exchange to buy it. Yeah, but by then it was like 20x from there, and it's since, I can't remember the price, if it was like 5 cents, and I think the price, yeah. I haven't even followed it, because, it makes you feel sad when you look at those numbers. Very successful project in the space.
It makes you feel a hell of a lot sadder than when you're literally brothers with the guy and you sold all of your tokens at like 25 cents. That's the ultimate. And that was part of the motivation of me doing this, is when you've got a brother, and like he's much older than I am. He's 9 years older, I think. And when you have a brother that's that successful, and we grew up in a family of 4 boys, so it was constantly competition. It kind of drives you to go, all right, fuck this. I'm gonna build something that's bigger than your project.
Yeah, what's funny is, as big as DeFi is, people are starting to get a feel for how big gaming is across the world. And, I was talking to the team Spores that's in the NFT space, and they're the ones that told me, they said, if you think people in the US and, say, Europe spend a lot on video games, they don't even spend near as much as people in Asia. And I was like, interesting. I said, yeah, per capita. So it's like, if you can create something with a play-to-earn mechanism, so you have people playing all over, but then you can also tap into that market. There's so much money in video games and NFTs. And, they're targeting the NFT side. But I was like, wow, that's amazing. Which, a lot of the top Dota players around the world come out of Korea and China and stuff. So, makes sense. They like gaming just like we do.
There's 3 billion gamers in the world. And look, I love DeFi protocols. I've invested in over like 150 of them in my time. But they're super complicated. And so it's already hard enough to try and get someone to start trading magical internet money. But when you start getting them, going through the intricacies of these protocols and the systems and how they work, and even to the point of how to utilize their UI, it's just goes straight over their head. Whereas you go and tell someone, hey, there's this game and there's no such and you've already broken down all the barriers of like gas fees, because we're on a layer 2, so there's no gas fees, no minting costs, sub-second transaction times. And so it's literally like, hey, you know how you play Dota all day? Well, play this game, which is exactly like Dota, except you can earn a shitload of money doing it. You'll first have to get over the fact that they're going to call you a dirty liar, and then once you've gotten over that and you've shown them, it's like a no-brainer. And then you've got an audience of 3 billion people to convert over, but then the follow-on from that is, and by the way, if you also stake into Aave, you can actually get 20% on your money, instead of the bank saying to you, until you put in $500,000, we're not going to give you even 0.5% interest rate. So it's very exciting. there's a lot of room to grow here, and I think we're literally only at the very, very start of the mountain. I think we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, 100% agreed. You brought up a good point that probably gaming will catch more people's attention and swing them over to crypto in the coming years.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll see.
Well, we appreciate you joining us in your time. Thank you so much, Kieran. I'm going to send it over to... I've got a song for all my rainmakers, that reinforces the principles that I talk about with investing. And, all my audience knows that they can choose to do whatever they want. I can't give them financial advice. But these principles reinforce better decision management so that you make the most out of this bull run. I think we still have plenty ahead of us.
Agreed. I certainly, definitely agree with that.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was boring, like a rainmaker should. Or buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I'll always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I'll sell when it's high, I'll buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. Principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic then dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. This game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was boring, like a rainmaker should. Or buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I'll always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I'll sell when it's high, I'll buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart.